Hello and welcome to the Black Crow Gaming podcast. I'm Toby from Black Crow Gaming, and I'm joined today by my glamorous co-host Sam.
Ew.
And we've got someone new who looks like he's just walked out of an anime. It's Ant.
Wow, straight in with the abuse. How
Oh yeah,
charming.
you've
Love
watched
it.
this podcast. You know
Just
what
a
we're like.
casual bit of hazing at the start.
It's fine. I'll get him
Uh,
later.
Yeah, I have no doubt you will. Well, today we are going to have a little chat about local communities because we here for the Norwich chapter have just had our local RTT. So big shouts out to the EAGT and Kronos Wargaming for organising that, alongside Athena Games for sponsoring their event. And we're going to talk about how you can kind of grow your community, how if you're kind of thinking about getting to be part of a team and trying to develop competitively in your area, it might not actually be as hard as you think. And it takes dedication, it does take effort. But we're going to be chatting about some of the different ways that Black Crows have done it. And sort of, I think maybe a little bit in terms of what's going on with the Black Crows in East Anglia at the moment as well. How does that sound, fellas?
Sounds like a plan.
Woo! So instead, what we're going to do quickly is someone copy and paste that link that I just sent in the Norwich chat, just share it around everywhere, so that we can get as many beautiful people coming and watching the podcast today. So, gentlemen, we've all just played in the 38-player RTT of the EAGT. How did we get on?
I mean, as RTTs go, it was. I mean, I had an amazing time. It was a fantastic event. 38 people is quite large. Like a lot of GTs don't even hit that thing. You see the low 30s for a lot of the smaller GTs. So it was incredible to have that many people playing. Obviously, we had a lot of crows there, which was also always good. And I was very, very happy with how I did, going 2-1 in the end, only losing to the winner of the event. Spoiler alert for later. But yeah, I had a fantastic day. It was well worth the trip up.
Yeah. Much the same here. It's like so this is my first actual RTT that's not like a doubles. It's a single. So first RTT that was a singles, and yeah, like echoing Sam's comments, it was a really, really good day. Kind of thoroughly enjoyed it, and similarly ended up 2-1, which was a cracking result, especially for Codex Marines, which let's say we're struggling. So and two quite I don't say comfortable wins, but yeah, two convincing wins, and then quite a tight loss, which is always happy. I'll quite take those ones where they can kind of go either way and you're fighting down to the very end. So, yeah, no, really happy with overall. And actually, my loss was to the chap that came third. So, can't really fault that.
Yeah,
No,
and one of your wins was against Dave Luther, who's a good friend of the Crows. Plays for Misfits, which are a very, very high quality team. People like Kev Nichols in that team as well. So some both really lovely players and very, very talented players as well. So big shout out to Dave as well. Not that he'll be watching this because he's too old.
I really hope he's watching this.
I really hope as well. I honestly, Dave is so used to me bullying him. I don't know why, because we'd only met at Leicester, and then I think it was just we got really comfortable with each other, just to endlessly mock each other. And yeah, he is an absolutely amazing bloke. I've got a lot of time for Dave, and it's always such a pleasure when I see him at tournaments. Which I think actually kind of segues us nicely onto sort of the local communities and what we've been getting up to, because I think a lot of the reason why we've got Ant on today, and I think it's going to be really nice having Sam on as well, given that he's not from Norwich. How things have grown over kind of the last year, because Black Crow Norwich kind of kicked off properly kind of August last year, July, August last year. So all very much Aaron's doing, finding the new members. Myself and Corbin were two of the early members. Myself, Corbin, and Ray, I think, were the first three members. So it was very early days, but now obviously we're a huge chapter. So gents, why don't you tell us your kind of Black Crow story, how you came to join? Because I know, Sam, you've been on before, but I don't think we've actually really done that before.
Yeah, I suppose for me, I played a lot of like competitive Warhammer like probably over 5 years ago was when I sort of stopped. So like a year or two before the pandemic hit, I sort of stopped playing due to like work commitments and just life changes. And then I started getting back into it about 2 years ago now, and but I'd moved completely. Anyone that I knew that played, I was nowhere near me or had, and pretty much all had stopped playing. So it was like, oh, let's just find out what the local has here. And there was a good group of guys that, like to play competitively, but they didn't really. So it was good, good games to have against locally, but they didn't really go to big events or travel. You'd have they come to the ones locally, but and maybe some that were like, East Anglia way. We've seen some of them at some of the same events as Crow players. But they don't travel across the country to go to a big super major, right? Except for a couple of them went to LGT last year. And it was just like wanting that community side of it, or people to go with, was a big thing. And then you, Toby, and Aaron came down to one of our little local events, and we got talking, and I was just like, I think basically on that day, you guys practically recruited the whole lot of us in Ipswich. Now, not everyone is stuck through with it. I mean, people's lives change, and you don't have, but there is a couple of us. I mean, Jack Sayer, who's a fantastic player, loves playing a bit, like just having a bit of fun as well. But when he turns on that competitive edge, he is a very, very tough opponent. And he was at the tournament on Sunday. In fact, I played against him on Sunday. But yeah, he's probably the other sort of Ipswich Crow or Ipswich-ish based Crow that comes to a lot of stuff. But yeah, that was my entry in, and I've there's nothing better than going to a big event where there's hundreds of people, but you have your own little like group, which just makes it a little bit more comfortable. It's these big tournaments, it's easy to go up to people and talk to them. You make a lot of friends there, past opponents and people you've seen from other events. But it is nice to have that group that you can just fall back on, that you're comfortable with, especially when it can get a bit overwhelming sometimes, and people to travel with and go out for food with, and so it was sort of ideal to join up with the Crows.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so funny, mine's really different to that actually. So I only started playing 40k probably very back end of ninth. It's all kind of very, very new. And then me and one of my longest, oldest friends, Dan, who is also a Crow now as well. So we'd been kind of toying with the idea of doing competitive 40k at different points. So we'd kind of we'd spoken about like, let's have a look for a competition. Let's see how we get on or something like that. And I can't remember actually when it was. Was it like October, November last year when there was the EAGT doubles? I think it was back end of last year, wasn't it?
it was, yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of saw that come up, and was just like, you know what, sod it, let's have a crack. It was a proper, I think it was quite last minute as well. I think it was only like 2-3 weeks out. We were just like, you know what, let's get a ticket, let's have a crack at this, see what happens. It's doubles, we'll be in it together and see where we go. And then like first game was, it was quite close, but I think we walked away with a win on that one. And then we paired into just a wombo combo of Ray and Jack, and it was that I have never felt so out of depth doing something in my life as kind of playing against those two. That was a proper moment of like, I actually don't know how to play this game like at a good level. Like these lads are like levels above, like fair enough. And I learned the hard way that blue horrors are pain in the ass as well. It's just like, I probably should have ignored them. But Jack and Ray were absolute gents, and yeah, kind of explained what they were doing, and then we had a good chat after the game as well of like, yeah, this is what we kind of noticed. Yeah, quite a good back and forth, and then they introduced us to Aaron. And yeah, kind of rest is history. And then we've been to a couple of events. We both did Oxford, we both did Glasshammer, and like again, echoing kind of what you said, Sam. Going to these big events, especially like when you're really new to competitive, and having that team around you is, yeah, it is a phenomenal kind of feeling. Like having the support and the guidance, especially like new factions. So like I've been playing into factions that the first time I'm experiencing them is the opposite side of the table at GT, which is not the time to learn a faction by any stretch of the imagination. But having that kind of camaraderie from the Crows, and then also having that knowledge to like pull from and just be like, lads, I'm against Town next. What on earth do they do? Someone quick give me a 1, 2, 3 on like, what do I do? What do I not do? It's been really kind of beneficial. And either between that or practice games where I'm kind of getting into different armies and different ways of playing and different skill levels as well. Like I said, I played Jack's list that you played at the EAGT recently, and yeah, it's definitely, yeah, he's not playing a meta detachment. It's a very fun, fluffy list, and it's still, he's just got that skill level to make it really, really challenging. But you just learn so much from that, and yeah, I feel like that's really helped my development as a player. And I know like Dan said the exact same thing, playing into really experienced, really good Crows and other players at tournaments, you just find that, yeah, you pick up so much so quickly.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. You know, the harder the games you have, the more likely you are to learn and develop. I know that one of my hardest ever against Vic VJ was an excellent learning opportunity. So you know, there's, I think definitely when you play those guys, but it's I think for us the big thing is that we're a community team, and that you know, as we always say, it's not about the winning. It's about making sure that you have the right personality, you have that right attitude at the table, and that you exclusively play a combat army, because combat supremacy. Am I right, guys?
No.
Oh God, Toby, you were going so well.
Yeah, I know. I had to spoil it at some point, but yeah.
Sam, you play a combat army. Like, I've got 2 combat units in my entire list.
I mean,
They
yeah,
count.
but the important part is, like, you know, when we're talking about learning from players as well, like one of the best parts about like when you're playing a game, like whether it's in a tournament, whether it's a practice evening, is talking about it afterwards, right? Like being able to go, oh, I think this was a mistake here. If I had done this differently, and but then with your opponent being like, yeah, but I did notice that this was a problem potentially, or oh, if you do this, I'll do that, and you can like theory craft a bit. And it's when you've got all the scenarios of a game, it can really help you think out like what you could have done differently and what might have been better, what might have been worse, and plan that out. Because it might be like you've seen something in the game and gone, oh, I won't do that again. I'll do this next time, and then you say that to your opponent, and they're like, well, I was expecting you to do that, so I was ready for this, and so it wouldn't have been a good idea. So you actually did the right. You know, the game's so complicated; it's hard to think of all scenarios, and so thinking on them by yourself isn't the same as bouncing them off the person you literally just played against.
Yeah.
So like for the learning opportunities, like having that attitude to be like, you know, oh, we've had a great game. Now let's help each other as well, which I find really useful. And I literally all 3 of my games yesterday, it was like the last like 5-10 minutes of the round or whatever, or after the game, we were just chatting about the game, which is always, I think, probably one of the most like useful learning opportunities.
And that was somewhat lucky in your 3rd round, because that finished quite early. Quite early is the wrong way of phrasing it. That makes it sound like it was quick.
It was tight to at least round 4, yes.
Oh,
but...
yeah. No, it was incredibly tight. But because so Sam and I were playing in the last round.
Yeah, if that wasn't obvious, yeah.
We were both playing extremely aggressive combat armies. Well, I say extremely aggressive.
Say one of us was a lot more aggressive than the other. Someone
Yeah.
sat in their back corner for most of the game,
I don't know what you're talking
other than the
about. There was
Deathwing Knights sprinting across the board faster than they've ever gone in any game ever.
Deathwing Knights are the fastest unit in the game. I'm just saying that now. They always go fast. I don't know why, but my Deathwing Knights just like they seem to sprint. I don't
Just
know
roll it,
why.
just roll 'em- You rolled at least two. You rolled 2 5s on the same turn, and there was a 5 the turn before on the advance rolls. It was just like this is they're literally doubling their speed with advance. Come on. And then you made 3 8-inch charges, I think it was.
It was beautiful. Yeah, no, I must admit, I think in that game there was some turns where my dice certainly came good at key moments, and Sam's decided to explode randomly.
Yeah,
at
when
not
you
so
want to
key
kill
moments.
3, not 4 models, and then you go, oh look, I've massively slaughtered 4. I'm like, okay, great. Now the other unit doesn't get to attack.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and it also happened to be the exact one that you didn't want me to have left was the one that was left.
Yeah, it happened to be the sergeant that was in the right position for that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, there was on Purge the Foe. There was, what was it, like 4 times that I left 1 model alive in a unit.
Oh, mate. That's brutal.
I mean, a Rhino got a nice Purge the Foe on a random scout on 1 wound left that ran away. That was, shooting does win.
Yeah, the World Eater's got, and I think that scout was the difference between you getting drawing or getting kill more that turn. Yeah, it was.
No, the scout was
Hero
turn 1.
run.
No, that was the Deathwing Knight that did that, I think.
Oh no, that was turn 2 because you didn't manage to kill anything on turn 1.
Yeah, but that was the scout turn 1 I didn't kill, right?
Yeah, and then you shot him turn 2, and I was only able to kill.
I think I might have gotten kill more.
Yeah, on turn 2 you did, which I was very sad about, because I couldn't. I think I killed like 3 8-bound and
Yeah, the ones that failed their
Juglord.
charge. Yeah, because you made a ridiculous charge onto my home objective turn 2. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was a perfectly standard charge. With multiple units. Yeah, no.
Wait, your dice coming in again, Toby.
Oh yeah, those microwave dice are doing me beautiful.
Apparently, it's not just roll 6s; it's just roll 8s and 5s on advances.
I mean, you should know that, Sam. To be fair,
I was trying to roll 8.
I know. Yeah, there was a moment both of us where we literally both just went, "Yeah, we just need to roll 8s." And I think, unfortunately, you didn't roll any 8s, and I rolled all of my 8s. And it was just like,
yeah.
I mean,
I can't complain too much because I think in the previous 2 games, I don't think I failed a single charge. So, and the way I play, it's rare that I'm rolling a charge that's more than like 5 or 6. So, there's probably 1 or 2 longbow charges that I attempted at some point in there, but it was never. It's usually like almost unfailable charges because of how fast World Eaters are.
Yeah,
so
no, 100%.
Play the odds.
I mean, I do think that is my matchup to lose in terms of if you just look at a vacuum at Dark Angels versus World Eaters, with Deathwing Knights being as strong as they are, and with the Hellblast as well. Just
yeah, as I say, with the Hellblasters, I'll agree.
But
I think if I go second on that matchup, then it's I think then mine. I think it's close enough that on particularly Purge the Foe in that sort of deployment and everything, with the terrain the way it was, I think it's whoever went second to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think I misdeployed if I'd gone first, because I think I was just a little bit too far back.
Yeah.
So it was one of those ones where it's like, it's interesting. Maybe I should have done a little bit more pre-measuring to kind of get us to that point. But like I think this is indicative of those conversations that you have after a game, where you can go, actually, I think I cocked that up, and it's your opponent can go, yeah, no, maybe that was a mistake, or no, they go, actually, on average, correct decision, just didn't pan out.
Yeah, it's never going to work out 100% of the time. If it did, it wouldn't be a dice game.
Well, exactly. I think one of the most important things that I learned, and actually learned it from playing Magic the Gathering. It was that if you can do 100% the right call and it can still fail, or you can do the wrong call and it can go right. It doesn't change the two.
Yeah.
Just because you made the wrong call and it went well, or vice versa. So and I think that's an attitude that I've really tried to bring into Warhammer, as much as someone did try and CP reroll off 5-up save just to annoy you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thankfully, you failed it.
I did. I
'Cause
rolled
that
a
would have
1.
been another Deathwing Knight not dying.
Oh, no, it would have been the jump back
Oh, was the
intercessors.
jump pack guy?
Oh,
Yeah, that was it.
They
No, he
were
lived, didn't
mad.
he?
No,
I
he did
remember.
die. He lived the turn before when I CP rerolled it.
Right.
And
Yes.
then it's crazy how survivable they were, because against Corbin, they took like melter shots, then charges from other jump pack intercessors, like all that kind of thing. And there was a guy left on 1 wound, and then the other one came in, killed all of Corbin's jump pack intercessors, and then they got all the melters and everything like that, and just the sergeant survived from them as well. And it was utterly ridiculous. I don't know how that those, because they're just 2 wound 3-up save Marines, but they just something flicked inside their head, and they just refused to die for ages. I think it was such a pain in the backside for him in that game, where it's like, oh, I've still got this single scout here. Oh, I've still got this single jump pack intercessor with a power. Actually, I mean, that happened in our game as well, Sam, with the other jump pack squad.
This is what I mean. It's like it was literally like whenever I went into something, it was like one guy left. I go into your ICCs, your librarians left. I go into some intercessors, there's one guy left. I go into Deathwing Knights, there's one guy left. It's just non-stop. There was only I can't think of a single time in that game where I charged something and just killed it without like nothing left, and that was as World Eaters.
yeah.
Sure.
That was
Oh,
that's
on
rough.
turn 5, Angron was going into 5
Oh,
intercepts.
If an intercessor survives that, then I don't know what to tell you at that
Well,
point.
this is the thing. So Angron and half of Lord Invocatus' attacks went into a Deathwing Knight unit, and one of them still survived.
So
Jesus.
the maths on that isn't as ridiculous as you. I mean, I think I got like 2 hits from Invocatus, so he didn't really add much to it. But I've had Angron kill 5 Deathwing Knights in one go. It's all about the 4+s, and I had sustained hits in there, and it's how many sustains I roll. Because if I roll a load of sustains, I mean, I've had it before with Angron's like 9 attacks has gotten like 15 hits, which is it's not actually that ridiculous when you're fishing for 6s, but with 4 rerolls. But I think the average is something like 10 or 11 hits. Then 2s to wound. If I've not got 8 bound there, I'm not rerolling that, so it's like sort of 9 or 10 wounds, and then 4-up saves, right? And if there's 5 guys, you're saving like 4. You're gonna have only 4 or 5 go through anyway, and then I need a 3+ on a d6 to kill one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I did CP reroll one of those to try and do it, and it still failed to kill him. So
Oh
From
no.
a 2 to a 1.
Yeah. That was the story of my life of Sunday, of just every damage roll that I re-rolled just went lower.
you can't reroll damage rolls. It's like unless it's like an innate reroll you have. CP reroll is always gonna be like a roll to a 1 on a damage roll. It's just it's fate.
The only time it worked was the Irads, which obviously have the built-in one, and they just
that's
went
what I
the
mean.
other.
It's different. It's a
They
different
just
reroll.
went the other way. Like bless like Dave in that last game, because his dice 100% abandoned him, but secondly there were just moments in that where sustain spiked for me, damage spiked. It was just there were some brutal moments in that. Although there were like 2 or 3 occasions where I managed to kill vehicles like exactly. I was like, oh, how many wounds has that got? 13. I'm like, that's convenient. I've done 13 damage. That's in the bin. So yeah, they were fun. It was a fun game, but Same with Company Heroes. Like I know Company Heroes are obviously innately like a lot tankier than Jump Pack Intercessors, but they had a couple of moments of just shrugging melters off in like with cover. So I get cover. It's a 6-up save. Bang, 2 6s. I don't know what to tell you at this point. The only unit as well that like when he's firing melters into my infantry, most of it he's wounding on 2s. That's the only unit that was anywhere near him that he'd have been wounding on 3s. The amount of 2s that he rolled to wound that block was just painful. It's just like...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Obviously, as we've said, it is a dice game, and those critical moments. I think as soon as we were sort of walking out of tournament, I said to Sam and Darren, you know, to win a tournament, you've got to be lucky as well as good.
That is a phrase that has been in my, like, we've always repeated in my family, because it's like me, my brother, and my dad used to go to tournaments all the time, and it is very much like, if anyone doesn't believe that, they're wrong. Like if they think they can win a tournament without getting it lucky somewhere in there, and sometimes it is literally lucky in pairings, or because every army has good and bad matchups. There's so many different levels of, like, it's not just getting the right dice. Now obviously you do as much as you can to minimize the luck in the game, but no matter what, there is always going to be some aspect of luck to get that last little bit to go over the line to win the event.
Yeah, totally. And that was my 8-inch charges. Like that was, in because I think in terms of my games previous to that, I'm trying to think if there was any other like super defining moments where I high rolled. I think Corbin low rolled a reasonable amount in my game against him, but that was, so lucky that my opponent was low rolling. And then I think I do think most of my luck came against you, Sam, in honesty, because my first
also
game.
To clarify, because the way you worded that, like, if you failed those charges, it didn't necessarily mean that I won the game. Like, it wasn't like you were playing a Hail Mary play to be like, I either get this charge and I'm going to win, or I fail it and I'm going to lose. It was just, I'm going to go for this charge, and because it was too early in the game for some of them, especially, and you did actually fail one charge that was key for me to hold on to hope for the game. I think if you made that charge, it was just like, oh, I'm done, because that's another Deathwing Knight almost in my deployment zone on objectives. It's like, but yeah, yeah, just to clear up that it wasn't like a had to be done to win / lose moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I think on balance of things, a couple of those, for me they defined the game in terms of me being able to sort of dictate the pace a little bit more, like making your deployment zone, making your home objective. Angron suddenly has to go back, and like, yes, of course he is speedier than a 17-year-old having sex for the first time, but like
twice in that game, Toby is just dumbfounded by how, like, as in literally 2 turns in a row, Toby is dumbfounded by how fast Angron is.
I was spitting feathers. I was like, that is ridiculous.
The perfect Deathwing Knight that happens to be stood in the exact right spot, that if he was an inch further forward, Angron would have flown straight over him into Azrael in the Hellblasters, and you hadn't pre-measured that, and you hadn't looked at it. You just happened to be like, oh, this is... I think you were trying to screen out where my berserkers could like leap out of a rhino and head towards. You were just like, oh, this body blocks here far enough forward. But it was just really funny to be like, oh, let me just measure this, and just it was just so unbelievably close.
I eyeballed it.
Pre-measure is the advice for people.
Well, this is it, right? I probably should start pre-measuring a lot more and things like that. I just eyeballed it and just went, yeah, that'll do. Like, cause that was my thought. I was like, okay, well, Angron can't fly over me now. And I thought that I would be absolutely right, because he wouldn't be able to land on me. Turns out he nearly could. So it
one
was
more inch.
Literally
makes all the difference.
I'm pretty sure I turned around to you and said, "Never has an inch mattered more in my life," which is a lie. But, yeah, that's what I tell all the Tinder dates. So I think it was a great tournament to see, and the fact. So my first solo EAGT was quite a while ago now. quite a while ago now. It was sort of August, around August last year, maybe July last year.
I was gonna say my first one was in November. I didn't know what ones happened
Yeah.
before that. But
So there was an RTT. This was before I joined Crows.
actually, we didn't hear your Crow story fully. Did
Oh,
we?
you want okay? My Crow story. I was playing a lot at the games table down in Norwich, and I'd done a couple of their leagues, and I'd really enjoyed doing that. So I was like, okay, well, what's kind of the step up? And kind of my now oldest friend in Warhammer, Stephen, then said, right, well, there's this event called the EAGT. It's a doubles. Come and do it with me. It'll be a laugh. We'll have a good time. I think he was playing Custodes and I was playing Dark Angels, obviously. And my first round was against Aaron and Jamie from what are they called? Sons of War. So we did narrowly lose that, but it was a good game. Like it was a really good game. And I think Aaron got quite surprised at the amount of damage I was able to put into his Custodes. But then also 3-up saves, 3-up invulnerable saves to shooting is very upsetting. So yeah, that was back when Flamers were doing that because it was demons and Custodes, so it was absolutely brutal. But then Aaron and I kind of just decided, because we had time at the end, that we would have a battle between Trajan and Azrael, just to kind of see what happened. And because they charged each other, but they just kind of bounced off each other. And eventually they just they keep slobber knocking for about 3 additional turns. We got to turn 8 of them just whacking each other. And eventually Azrael came out on top somehow. So yeah, it was utterly ridiculous. It was a really good laugh, had a great time. And then I think the rest of that tournament was just quite a while ago, and I can't remember how we did. Actually, it's the tournament that I also met Warwick, who also now plays with Crows and also with Touched by Mortal Wound. Where I think I was on the bottom table in round 3. And I'd had I think 6 gins at that point. So little changes.
I'm noticing a trend here, Toby.
Yeah, so am I.
What happened yesterday? That would have been helpful.
Sorry, yeah, I don't drink really at events now. And then we so then I signed up to. Well, actually, no, I didn't. I missed signing up to the singles EAGT, and I messaged the page going, "Look, guys, if a ticket comes up, let me know. And I'd love to come along." Because to be honest, I'd been scared about doing it. Because I was going to be going on my own. I think Stephen was going, but it was basically on my own. I didn't know what it was going to be like in terms of a one-on-one tournament, all that kind of stuff. And I thought I'd just get brutalized. So I was quite nervous going into it. And then so I entered it, and I played 10 Desolators like a good boy. And the ninth, they were still broken.
You're a bad
Trust me, as soon as someone says they're
Oh, no.
taking them, I know they're broken. Because they've
I
almost
was-
always been broken, except for recent times that they've been useless. So do not
Yes.
take them.
They're either broken or dead in the water. There's no in between.
That was actually a lie. I played 15 Desolators, which is why I have 15 Desolators, with the chaplain to give them the +1 to wound and all that kind of stuff. It was lots of fun. Because that's back when chaplains could go, you have +1 to wound and shooting. It was brilliant. And I won my first game because it turns out Chaos Space Marines trying to run at you versus that many Desolators is not good. It's not healthy for the Chaos Space Marines.
Not
and
healthy
then
for Warhammer.
No, it's very much not. And then I went into a Thousand Suns player, and because I was on a high up table, I had to play on a clock at my first ever RTT, and I was just I have no idea what's going on, what I'm doing. I'm against a far better player playing Drakari, this wasn't Darren, by the way. And it was that was that was a real experience. Lovely opponent, and I knew I was going to lose, but I was like, right, okay, in that case, just focus on being a good opponent, have a laugh with him, and learn as much as you can. And then in my third game, I went into a demons player, utterly beautiful demons list, and I rolled like an absolute chump all game. Like my opponent literally went, "I am so sorry for your dice rolls," and I was like, "Yeah, fair enough." But this is kind of funny at this point, so because it gets to that point where it's like the game has so far gone
Yeah.
that like it doesn't matter. Just like it's fun at this point. We're having a laugh.
You start just trying to get like when your dice are that bad, you just go for the crazy, silly plays and just try stuff and like who knows, the dice might just flip randomly and do something more ridiculous, or let's see how ridiculous we can get it.
Exactly. So that was my first sort of RTT, and then Aaron dropped me a message going, "Look, are you looking to become more competitive? Are you thinking of going to more tournaments?" I went, "Yeah, go on then. I'll give it a shot." So he signs me up for. So this is before Black Crow Norwich exists. So it was just in the general Black Crow chat. So I sign up. They pop me in the chat, and I go, "Hey, here's my list. What do we think?" And they go, "It's shit." Here's.
I doubt that's what they said.
It's not what they said. It was essentially it's shit. No, it was
in a
you've got
nice
some
way
good
because we're
building
nice.
blocks. Yeah, no, it was you've got some good building blocks, but here's what you need to try. And then I remember very distinctly my kind of turning point. I played and Aaron talks about this quite a lot, and I think we have spoken about it on the podcast before. But I had a practice game against Aaron, and at the end of it, I just couldn't score properly. Like I couldn't do my secondary because I'd been taking fixed up until then. And Aaron went, "No, I'm forcing you to take tactical because it's the better choice, but you're sitting on fixed as a crutch because you're used to it from 9th edition." And I was like, "Yeah, fair play." And I just couldn't score points. So I then put my Outriders in, which everyone was going, "This is a terrible unit. Why would you play Outriders?" And from then on, I played Outriders basically permanently because they actually did work for ages. And then my first tournament as a Crow was East Anglian Slam, which you guys probably have not heard of because
No, I did know about that one. I wasn't able to go because I think a couple of people from Ipswich might have gone to that.
Yeah,
or
so
at least Jack probably did.
He did, yeah, playing his Necrons. And it ended up
early
being
10th edition.
Oh yeah. So I was playing. Sure, I was playing Desolators, but like apart from that, I was playing an all right Dark Angels list. Excuse me, sorry. And then I played into someone playing their first tournament, round one. And I was playing 10 Desolators. They were playing 10 Assault Intercessors as their damage dealing unit. So that sort of went as both of us kind of thought when we walked up to the table. And then I played against a Grey Knights player, and obviously Grey Knights was struggling at the start of 10th. And then I went into Chris Tull, Greg Chamberlain, and Paul Bridge.
Oh,
that was my first GT.
That's one way to close out the last 3 games.
Ouch.
And that was Eldari, Thousand Suns.
At the start of 10th.
At the start of 10th.
Yeah.
Back when Eldari were perfectly balanced, no issues with them whatsoever.
That was Wraith Knight Incarn nonsense. Greg wasn't doing that. Greg was doing Fire Prism Incarn.
I was going to say, at the start of 10th, you could have picked anything in that index and won with it, like against anything that wasn't one of the top 3 armies.
Yeah, so all of the Eldari players were 2-0 going into round 3. And then Greg and Clement Tornade paired into each other. And Clement was playing double Wraith Knight, and Greg wasn't playing any. So it ended up because you can with Wraith Knights, right? And this is a bit of a grumble for a second. You can kind of model them for advantage without modeling them for advantage.
Beyond, it's huge, but it's just not even worth. Like it's that the starter 10th with Wraith Knights was the silliest thing. And like I say, I've played the game for almost 22 years, and there's been some ridiculous stuff that has happened. I mean, GW didn't used to balance stuff at all. The people that used to write the codexes, write the rules, used to have English degrees so they could write the fluff because it had to be the same person that wrote the whole thing originally. They didn't do any maths on any of the statistics of like how one unit would go into another, so it should be pointed sort of this amount or whatever. It was like the Wild West at times, but nothing compares to the starter 10th with Wraith Knights,
Yeah,
where you
no,
can just go, yeah, that thing, it's dead. I don't have to roll any dice, and that's your biggest, best thing in your army,
yeah.
Yeah.
And now there is
and you couldn't even
an
hide
ink
it.
on there.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like that. There has never been a time where anyone's looked at that and gone, yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that was utterly ridiculous. But luckily we're no longer there. But that is kind of my story into crows. And now I guess through that kind of community development, well, I've not to blow one's own trumpet, but I've had a bit of a decent run for the last couple of weeks. So I ended up winning Peterborough Slam, which we talked about last week, and I ended up actually managing to win the EAGT. Which was there's me. So I'm not in charge of the stream. I did
that
not
was me.
do
I
that.
put that on.
I also hate that photo so much.
All right, it's gone.
But
Don't
yeah,
worry, we'll swap it to this one. Community.
yes,
That's
community,
better.
much better. But yeah, so I and I said to sort of a couple of the other crows recently. I feel like I've really found my pace and that space where I can go from that kind of local decent player up to that next level. And I felt like I've had a bit of a watershed moment between Sheffield and obviously I know that didn't end very well given that we all got on well.
Illness,
But
it happens.
exactly. But going from there to now, I felt like I've because I'm able to bounce ideas off teammates so much, and because I'm able to go right, here's where my head's at. Are you scared of this? That kind of helps me like a heck of a lot develop. And Crows has gone from Black Crow Norwich, right, has gone from not existing this time last year, or literally having 3 members, to I think we've got one of the top 3 Demons players in the country. Obviously, one of the top World East players is sitting right here.
Ew.
Who else have we got? We've got one of the top Death Guard players. Although Ray's been around forever, because he's amazing. We've got one of the top Drakari players. We've got one of the top Dark Angels players.
Don't know who that is.
And there's some prick. We got one of the top Black Templars players. And I'm trying to think of because I will have missed someone out. Because I always miss someone out. It's usually Sam.
It's usually me, but it's hard when I'm literally sat here with you. I'm drawing a blank as well because like in the local area, because it's not just about crows as well. Like if we're talking about East Anglia, we've got such a great considering no big super majors come here.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't get the huge events, and we don't usually get like the international players or any like the people who are, I mean, Warhammer sort of household names. I mean, we have our own ones that we all know, but it's we get a lot of really, really good players. And like going to a small local event. I mean, like Peterborough Slam, for example, is just like, I mean, we always refer to it as Shark Tanks, but it is really nice to have all these people because it means that no, you have such a range of people at the local event, so there's something there for everyone. There is like those of us that are going like really going hyper competitive, really want to win, but we're not talking about Aaron put it very well at the start of the EAGT yesterday. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, being
You know,
competitive does not
you-
let you be a penis.
exactly. You want to win, but you don't want your opponent to have a bad game, right?
Mm.
Like that's not the goal. Look, it's toy soldiers. We're there
Yeah.
to have a fun time. We're all there to have a good weekend, day, whatever, evening. You don't want it to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth.
Yeah.
That's like the crow edict. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, But it's the one thing we say to all of our new players. It's no dickhead policy.
and we don't
And
invite people in if they are. Right?
no.
You
At the end
you
of
could
the
be the
day,
best player in the world and turn up to us and say, "I want to be a crow," and if we don't think that you're nice on the table, we're not letting you in.
no, not a chance. Literally, we could have the best player in the world turn up, and if they'd been a dick, then they're not coming in because we don't like. It's not about the rankings, and at the end of the day, by having that ethos and by being ourselves, we now have some of the top players in their factions, like I just listed. And that is all because of community focused gaming, by having an active, friendly community that talks regularly, builds up that sort of that knowledge base. And then you can see in that photo, there's 3 people holding awards. Out of the 5 awards available, 3 of them were won by crows. When we had pairings in,
One of which is best painting, just to clarify,
yeah,
because it's not just about winning games as well, because there's all the other hobby aspects, and there are crows that are into all of them as well. So.
yeah, 100%. And I think when we got to round 3, it was done on points for first and second had to play, third and fourth had to play, and all of them were crows.
What do you mean?
So it was you and I and Darren and Ray.
Oh, I didn't know if they were third and fourth. I know that Darren
They
came
were,
second in the end, but
Okay.
I didn't know if they were the third and fourth scoring going into that. But
that was why Ant and Dave were behind us, because obviously, so Ray
Ray's on
was
the other table.
seating.
Oh
So,
yeah.
So yeah, that was why we had you guys on table 2. So it was 4 crows in that pole position to win it. And obviously, that does then mean that 2 of them are only going to go. I say only. They're going to go 2-1.
I'll get you next time.
Oh yeah, no. All of these tournaments I've gone in, and I'm going probably going to go 2-1. It'll hopefully be some good games, and I'll learn from my loss. And it just hasn't quite come yet. So it's like it's really weird for me because and I know I sound a lot more serious than I do in the podcast usually, because this is kind of competitive Toby coming out, but usually I am just messing around and focusing on having a good time. But like, there is that edge to the crows where we do go to that next level. We do compete at that top level, but that has developed over a single year by sharing ideas, having our crow nights, going to tournaments together, building relationships with some of the top players by being nice, right? Like, everyone that agrees to come on the podcast comes on just because they don't think we're dickheads. Like, we've got some phenomenal sponsors. We've got Glasshammer Gaming as sponsors, where multiple of their players are, you get names like Josh Roberts, Manny Chima. Oh my god, I've forgotten Dan's surname.
I don't know if I've ever known Dan's surname. To be fair, he's just Dan.
Dan,
Yeah,
yeah.
just say everyone knows
Glasshammer Dan.
Yeah.
I just call him Handsome Dan. No,
Exactly. We know who he is.
luckily he's.
I mean, he's been on the podcast as well, hasn't he?
He has. He's also playing WTC, so he definitely won't be watching, so he can miss that faux pas. But like, we've had these incredible household names like get involved with us, and like as someone that was, I mean, I think the big thing for me, and I've said this to Jake now, but it was going from fan of Vanguard Tactics to peer. and like, suddenly people that I've watched on stream, and that Steve Box was the one that gave me the confidence to go and do competitive play for the first time. I remember watching him and going, that looks fun. And then I remember watching, I think he did a video with Paul the ref, and I was like, okay, that looks great. Let's chance my arm and give it a go. And then suddenly having a captain's chat with Steve Box at the ICC. Not that I was the captain; I was just the dickhead in the corner. But like we you suddenly someone that I've been watching for multiple years and hasn't filed a restraining order against me. Comes up and gives me a hug at tournaments. It's that's crazy to think where these communities can go. So, and that's 1 year of growth. So I know, and I'm massive. Huge kudos has to go to Aaron, Simon.
100%. I wish he was here for this, but obviously.
No, I know.
not
Yeah,
available,
he's
but
yeah. But Aaron, Simon, Josh, and Sam down south as well. And then all of the sort of the regional team captains as well. You've got Jess, you've got
we're spreading.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's a good group up in Birmingham. I played
yes,
a couple of them in the team tournament.
yeah, amazing group of guys. Always such a credit. Bruce's guys are just incredible. And then we've got Ali and Ryan, particularly down south, as two super supportive, active Crow members. I think every time something goes like, Ryan is one of the quickest guys to go and like it and give us a shout out and everything like that. Bless him, he's absolutely.
Speaking of, everyone that's in chat, give us a like, subscribe, whatever. Just get those plugs in, because it really does help. You'd be surprised. I can now see the analytics. It helps, please.
Yeah. All the likes, all the subscribes, it helps us grow. We are building to do more content. So obviously you might have seen Aaron's Custodes videos that have been going live. I'm going to be doing a Dark Angels series.
I'm going to do World Eaters.
Yeah, we've got World Eaters series coming. Ant's going to do an OnlyFans.
Am I?
So,
I
mean, that's your territory.
Oh shit!
I was going to say,
sorry.
I don't want to infringe on stuff you've already established.
Ant can do Fansly.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I only just discovered what Fansly is because and I actually ended up unfollowing that creator.
Is this going to be a worthy tangent to go on, or do we need to censor you, Toby?
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's literally I had no idea what Fansly was, and it sounds like such a like an unassuming name.
I get that.
And then
it'd be something along the lines of like Patreon, isn't it? You just expect it to be like, it's something for your fans to connect with.
I mean, I like to point out that OnlyFans is called OnlyFans. Like it's not like it says what that is on the like original.
True.
Like, everyone knows what it is, but in the same line of it, I don't know. Anyway, let's stop talking about it.
Toby digs himself in a rabbit hole here.
No. I mean that goes back to the podcast we had with Quipster, where he said that he was thinking of doing painting guides on OnlyFans, which is, I mean, that's another one for me, because Quipster was one of the guys that massively sort of ignited my excitement for 40k in general through his podcast. And now
that was a great episode. I mean, if anyone hasn't seen that, I recommend going and watching it back in the archived videos of YouTube after this is done, obviously.
Of course, after this is done. But yeah, no, it's we're producing more and more content, and like that's fun for us. We get to do more of the stuff we love. We've got our, and this is not a euphemism, our massive hammer down south. Which
I thought there is actually a physical hammer I've seen.
There is.
I remembered now. But when you start, like, what do you mean?
There is what he was just talking about. You can't shade into that statement.
It's available on the Fansly as well. But yeah, so we've got all of these connections. We've got Pro Terrain. We've got another really exciting not really merch, but like commemorative piece, which is coming to a couple of the the Crows soon. So myself and Josh will have some of that soon. I'm not going to say what that is yet because it's going to be a surprise.
You're teasing a reveal on a future podcast,
I'm
basically.
I'm teasing a reveal. It probably will be over on the Instagram and the Facebook, but it
So
will
everyone go
be
follow those.
exactly.
Am I
Yeah.
getting enough plugs in yet?
Not as many as Chris, bless him.
Okay, but you get 5% extra off at Glasshammer using code Black Crow.
There we
Please go
go.
and do that.
There we go.
If you're buying anything, wait, it's 25% off.
Yeah. It's honestly, and just thinking the fact that we can say that as a Warhammer team that our chapter only started a year ago. It's crazy. And I think that story is something that anyone, because Norwich didn't really have a scene at all. Aaron very much pioneered that in the area. And the reason that he's not in a Crow shirt there is because he was TOing the
He's running the
EAGC.
event.
And making sure that everyone had a good time and that the 14 Crows there were well looked after with drinks and everything like that. So this very much this is Aaron's achievement as much as everyone else. Well, more so than everyone else's, to be perfectly honest.
It's we wouldn't be here doing this right now if it wasn't for Aaron, right? Like
no, absolutely not. And he deserves that recognition. So you do need to have someone who is as tenacious as Aaron and sort of has that goal in mind and that desire to succeed. But from there, you will attract the right-minded people. I mean, we made a joke about franchising. Or Simon made a joke about franchising. And then bless him, someone actually did say, "Do we actually have to pay membership fees?" in a DM to it.
Oh God, no.
No.
Yeah, no fees. We're just a community of people where we have a big group chat. Oh, we've lost the Toby.
Oh, there he goes.
It happens at least once every podcast. So yeah, like the having a big group chat together is fantastic. Like if you're in a small, if you're in a more rural area or an area where there isn't a big scene at the moment, just reach out to people, create a Facebook group, or add people into like a group chat on something, and just start chatting, arrange games, and it will slowly build up. Add people in that you like, and it will just slowly build into something. And yeah, as built fast, because Aaron's a beast and can just pick out the people that are nice and get on well all together, and somehow get us all together. Because we pretty much every event we recruit at least one or two people new, right? We're growing fast because we go and have good games with people, and we go, sometimes somebody will play against multiple of us at an event because there's so many of us, and we'll go, yeah, I had a really good game against that person. Somebody else like, yeah, I know them, I've seen them at this other event, and we just come, approach them and go, do you, are you interested in coming to events with us? We like, the style of play. There we go.
Yeah, and it's never, oh, that person's just gone 5-0, get them in the team. It's always, I had a really good time.
Been said. Yeah.
No, but you do get that with other teams.
I'm sure, yeah, definitely.
And that's no disparity to those other teams. That if that is your way of recruiting, absolutely fine. You play your hobby how you want to play your hobby, phenomenal. But we'll just go, you had a really good attitude in that game. You took that loss really, really well.
Or
and that
beat
means
me in a very humble, nice way. Yeah.
Exactly, and they building. I think some of my proudest moments are definitely picking up my opponents, for Crows, and yeah, I mean I can't remember the actual number of Crows we're up to in Norwich, but it's crazy now.
That is quite a big chat, isn't it?
It's always going. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you switched off for a day, you'd come back to like 100 messages.
Sometimes
easily.
like an hour, and it could be 100 messages.
I've gone in meetings, mate, and come back to 200 messages.
But the thing is there's never like a pressure to know what's going on or anything like that. You just hop in and out as much as you want. If you usually someone would, if it's been quiet for a bit, someone's just going to throw in, here's my army list that I'm looking at the moment, and those are people that have something to say about it will be like, oh, I really like that you put this in, or oh, tell me why you've done that. decision, or what are you aiming for, like secondaries wise, or what do you think of your bad match? You can just start so many conversations just off, here's a list, because there's enough of us there that's like, oh, I play that faction, or oh, I've played against that faction or a similar list recently, or I've seen so and so has a list like this, or whatever. There's so much to say, and it's just, and sometimes it is literally just look at this thing I painted, and everyone's like, oh, that's really cool.
I mean, that's where a lot of going back to Toby's story earlier of where he posted a list and jokes about being told it's shit, and then it's like, no, you've got good building blocks. I've heard that phrase from you, Toby. So, now I know where that's come from. It's like, oh yeah, you've got a couple of good building blocks there, and then how about what's this for a list? And as I'll tell you, I still vehemently, I was like, yeah, thanks for that, Toby. I'm still going to go play Vanguard. And somehow make it work occasionally.
Vanguard is very different to the other types of. I mean, Space Marines at the moment are very, or the sort of top meta lists are very melee focused. You got Dark Angels, you got Blood Angels, but Vanguard is literally the other side of that coin. And while it might not be as top meta, I think it's still very strong and has some strong lists in there. It is not good into World Eaters because its detachment rule just is meaningless. So I love seeing that when I come across the table. It's like, so what's your detachment do? Oh, nothing. Okay, cool. Moving on.
I'm the opposite, exactly. Okay, when I see a World Eaters matchup, I'm just like, cool. Right.
I mean, there's still some tricks. It's never, no game is ever decided before the table, but it is one of those things where, like I say, everything's got good and bad matchups. That's one of its bad matchups.
Yeah, definitely. And I need to, going back to what I said earlier as well. I think I've played competitively against World Eaters once, and I faced him at Oxford, so that was a learning experience. And I need to get more reps in against those kind of armies that come running at my face turn one.
Next time I'm in Norwich, we can have a game.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely up for that because be over by turn two, but we'll have a.
Nah, quite often I just like to sit back turn one. Let people come to me.
Yeah, no, but it's that. Just touch, kind of cycling back a little bit to that community aspect. Like I've picked up so much from just having conversations with Toby and Corbin, primarily, as two prolific Marine players, and then kind of getting that input from other people as well, especially when it comes to other factions. I think pre EAGT was just like, guys, I'm into this Aldari list. I've not seen half of this before. What's the play here? How do I deal with it? And I know Dan, who's joined with me, is exactly the same. He's had multiple conversations with Ray and the like around improving his Death Guard list and picking things up. And it's a massive credit to those, all of the crows, to be fair, that we've had conversations with and that get involved, of where our development's been over the last, it's not even been a year. And arguably not even that much because early part of the year we didn't have too much opportunity to get out to events. It was Oxford was probably the first real big one.
That was a very big one as well. It was 250, wasn't it? I think that is the third biggest one I've done in the last 12 months. So, but that's huge. So,
yeah, I know. Yeah, that was a great event, and having that, I went 0-3 day one, and just having that time with the community in the evening to kind of pick yourself up and dust yourself off and be like, you've still got 2 games, get into it. Even if you go 0-5, it doesn't matter. You're here to enjoy it. And we both, I think me and Dan both picked up cheeky wins last game, and
it's something to build on as well. When it's your first time to something like a super major. It's like the first time you run a marathon, right? You set a time and then you gotta beat it the next time, right? So you got the 1 win. Next time, aim for 2, and it doesn't. If you get 1 again, that's fine. It doesn't matter. You still completed the marathon. You still hopefully had 5 good games. That's the real aim of a 5-game event. But yeah,
couldn't agree more. I think that's that's been really important. But and going to that point, you were saying, yes, absolutely. When you've had a tough day of gaming, you want your teammates there. to be able to sort of have you back. And like you are, it's going to happen at some point. There's going to be a game where you walk away from it and you're like, that was tough, or like that just wasn't quite what I was looking for from a game. You know, these things happen, and teams are so important for those moments.
100%. I be honest, mate. Oxford was that in a nutshell, because it's 3 game, like three losses are what they are. Like, that's absolutely fine. I've got no issue with that. But my last game, this will make Sam curse. I can tell. It was World Eaters. I got battered by him. I killed Angron. Angron came back 3 times in that game. Like, there's points where you just want to break things. Yeah.
So it's not even about the fact that he came back 3 times. It's the fact that you killed him 3 times, so he could come back 3 times, and he still came.
Well, I killed him twice, but
so he came back twice. Okay,
yeah.
right.
I killed him twice. No, sorry.
Killed him twice. So
3
times.
There
3 times, or
No, it was 3. It was 3 lots of 6s. So I killed him turn 1 with Centurions.
Yeah.
Came back turn 3. Killed him turn 3 with Eradicators. Came back. Didn't come back turn 4. Came back turn 5. And I was just like, and that was on like 2 hours sleep. And I'll tell you what, I was ready to go. If I hadn't been with Crows, I was ready to go home, list Marines on Facebook, and call it a day. I was just like, I can't handle this. This is rough. And but no, when just went home, not went home, went back to the hotel and whatnot. Toby had a word, and a couple of other people. It's go again. One little pro tip though: don't do GTs on 2 hours sleep. They're brutal.
That's
go down the night before. For the love of God, if it's your first one, go down the night before.
Unless it's local, obviously.
Yeah.
Unless it's local, yeah. Either pick a local or go down the night before, because tournament fatigue is huge. We've been talking about it quite a lot recently. I was chatting to a couple of the guys at the AGT about it recently. And it's like it's a real serious thing. Like, you've got to be careful, and you got to look after yourself. It's partly, I was saying to Darren actually, it's partly why Sam is our vice captain for the ITT, because he's always very, very good at making sure that people are actually like looking after themselves. So, and like drinking water, because Darren and I forget to do that because we're city geese. But yeah, like that's, and having your teammates there to go, do you need a drink? Do you need some food? Those kinds of things, just literally those just checking. Yeah, exactly.
I can go multiple games without sitting down, and I'm just like, why have I not sat down? Why?
Yeah,
my legs are killing me. And especially if you're like driving that evening or in the morning, it's like Warhammer. You think, all right, it's a board game. You're playing, on a tabletop game. You're not moving around much, but it is. A day of Warhammer, like 3 games, is surprisingly physical. Like, it is just, I mean, I was mentioning to you, Terry, on Sunday, my heart was just racing the entire. My watch was like, "Oh, you're doing some serious exercise right now," and I'm like, "No, I'm just anxious / like excited, and all of the emotions going through of trying to win an event." And but it's just I pretty much exclusively go down to events on the Friday evening, and quite often, if it's a long trip, I stay the Sunday evening. I take the Monday off work, because then I can have a nice chilled evening on the Sunday, relax, wake up in the morning, travel back, nice and relaxed, and think. But I recognize that it's not something everyone can do. Hotel prices, and also, although to be fair, Sundays are the cheapest ones. But it's not as easy to get days off work in every profession that way, and some people also have families and things like that I don't have. So it's easier for me to be like, I'll just take an extra long weekend for it. But I do find it funny, because I was like, for things like some of the events obviously have like late shadow rounds, and it looks like I'm like set up for that. I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to be there. I just don't want to have to rush home.
No, well, look, I think it's one of those ones where the fatigue and the tips that you can pick up become all the more important when you are part of that team, part of that community. And I think one of the quite interesting things is obviously that we are now looking at a new region, looking at Cambridge to kind of expand into. So that's going to be kind of one of the new expansion plans. So that should be quite exciting going forward. So if you are in the Cambridge region, or if you know people in the Cambridge region, and you're looking for a fun but competitive and active community, hit us up. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Then I think, to be honest, gents, should we do some wrapping up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little moment about our sponsors again, because they make our dreams come true. So we've got Glasshammer Gaming, where if you need any of your hobby needs, doesn't have to just be Warhammer, can be any other nerdy addiction that you do have, maybe that Magic the Gathering, Warhammer Fantasy, Old World, or maybe you just really fancy those new Blood Angels that have just been announced. Head over to Glasshammer Gaming. Type in Black Crow at checkout and you can get an extra 5% off. And that does obviously help us with awareness as well. So, that's greatly appreciated for us. Helps us keeping working with the Glasshammer team. And of course, there is also their Wolves GT. We are going to be having Manny on the podcast soon. Someone just needs to get his arse in gear and organize when he's coming on. We will be having the man, myth, legend that I forced to give me a kiss on the cheek on my birthday while very drunk on the podcast. He probably doesn't want to be announced like that.
One of those photos.
Yeah, we could say something like, one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world.
There's a lot of instructions.
Gave me a smooch on the cheek.
The highlight of his Warhammer career, that one.
I reckon it was. I think he would agree with that. But yeah, so we'll have Manny on, who's obviously sort of in charge of Glasshammer, and I hope we'll have Dan on soon as well. Dan Bates, that's his surname.
There we go.
Let's hope if he was watching earlier that he got to this point so that he can see that you did remember.
Exactly. But yeah, hopefully we'll have Dan on again soon. I'll have a chat with him because Dan is everything that Black Crow is as well, in terms of attitude, and I think we're very lucky to have a sponsor that is so aligned on values, and that focus on fun. And yeah, the Glasshammer guys are truly incredible. It's just as people, as a business, I can't speak high enough of them. I really appreciate everything they've done for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great that they sponsor. I mean, they have their own team, they have their own stream, and it's they still want to grow the 40k community and stuff, so they sponsor teams like it. Well, I don't know if they sponsor anyone else, but they sponsor us, and it's great.
Yeah.
Well, they put a call out, and we haven't seen anyone else that got sponsored.
Really?
So yeah, that was a huge win for us. And we love working with the guys, and we love it when we get to turn up to their tournaments. You can also use the discount code for the events. The next tournament is Wolves. It's on the last day of August and the first day of September. That is going to be a really good tournament. We've got quite a few guys from our North chapter going. So I think that's going to be a really exciting one. Top level WTC rules.
Different
the
terrain as well, which is really
exactly.
It's always good to have different options for tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrain's really fun to play on as well, to be honest. Like having kind of, again, speaking with limited experience, but like UKTC, EAGT, Glasshammer terrain, it's all really different. It's all got like fun aspects to it. Like thoroughly enjoyed Birmingham. If Wolves is anything like that, highly recommend going to those events.
Yeah, absolutely. And then our other sponsor, speaking of terrain, segueing really nicely, is Terrain Forge, who do some beautiful custom terrain. If you would like some Black Crow terrain, you can pick up some with a laser cut logo of Black Crow in, or you can pick up some with your own logo if you've got your own team or anything like that. Again, use the code BCG5 at checkout to get 5% off of their terrain as well. You can get UKTC sets, you can get WTC sets. We've got a new set debuting on the Bat Rep channel. So do go check that out. And then finally, just to do a couple of shout outs to our own guys. We have just had a Custodes versus Drakari game on Sunday. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be quite an exciting bat rep out this weekend as well. If you are looking for your Aaron fix, he's been doing his Custodes Tactica analysis videos, and he's absolutely loving that. I think we're going to see more of that.
There's 2 out
forward.
already, and I think he's planning on more. Yeah,
there is. I think he might be up to 3 already. I'm looking at the
I
camera.
don't think
know
the
he's
3rd
planning
one's
more.
released if he has made a 3rd one yet.
Oh, okay. There's no 3rd one.
No,
Okay,
no, there
let's
will
go
be
back.
more. Is the point? Go watch the other ones.
Yeah.
Give them a
Yeah.
like, and the more engagement on them, the more likely there's more.
Absolutely. And then, as we've mentioned, we are going to be looking at doing some other content. If you would also like to chat to us about either joining the Crows or starting your own chapter of the Crows, get in contact with us. We
What
are friendly
content
people.
you want to see?
Yep, exactly. Anything like that, just shout at us. We are all very open, friendly people. And if you do spot us at tournaments, come over, say hi. I love it when I have people coming over and saying hi to me at tournaments. It's great to meet people that enjoy our content and enjoy Warhammer as much as us. Because let's be honest, we're a micro content producer. So if you're watching us, you probably really, really love Warhammer. So fantastic. We love having you with us. It makes our day to see those numbers, and I think we're above 750 subscribers now, which to us is 750 people listening to me make penis jokes.
Well, they tolerate you making.
Yeah.
They tolerate me.
Let's say there's probably about 5 people, one of which probably named Luke, that comes for that part.
I think lots of them come for my gorgeous personality. No, that's not true. But I think it's really great to see. But yeah, our sponsors are a huge part. The other sections of the channel are incredibly important as well. And I think finally a huge big thank you has to go to the team and everyone, particularly in that photo, and everyone that has played as a Crow this season so far. I can't wait to finish up this season and find out where we finish in the rankings as a team overall.
Exciting,
yeah, but also just how everyone's done. Because playing some of those guys at the start of their sort of when I first met them to seeing where they're playing now, they're just unrecognizable. And I'd say I'm definitely the same from when I first joined Crows. So
you know how to use combat now, so that's.
I actually, I learned how to do the.
I mean, our first conversation about like combat stuff, you genuinely weren't even sure about how like pylons and consolidates worked in 10th edition.
Didn't need it. Need it. Just shoot them to death. It's fine. Just shoot them to death and then run a dreadnought at them. You don't need to consolidate if you've got a dreadnought. It's a single model.
It's been working for me.
Still consolidate. You just probably don't pile in.
No, that's the one.
We'll get you
I
there,
got it the
Toby,
wrong way
don't
around. But yeah, you won't get me there fully because I'm playing a funny list next time.
We've got time, right? I don't see this going. You'll be playing melee. You've got the bug now.
Yeah, no, I must admit I'm really loving the Gladius list. But final thank you. And I know this has been a long list of thank yous, but thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Ant, for coming on and joining us as your podcast debut. Sam, thank you very much for doing all the technical stuff and allowing me to do all my bullshit in the background, so that I don't have.
You do technical stuff as well. It's not like it's just me.
I set up Buffer and I let Buffer do the work for me. So that's yeah. Oh yeah, no.
It's really hard work. Everything you do, yeah.
Yeah, terribly difficult. Apart from when I forget to post on the Instagram. So yeah, whoops. Unfortunately, for some reason, that Meta Business Suite won't connect. So vibes. But yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of it. And I've been Toby.
I'm Sam.
I've been Ant.
Thank you so much for watching. and keep on chucking dice and having fun. See you later, fuckers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.